Okay, here we are. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the All Portable Discussion Zone. It is a bi-weekly live stream all about amateur radio portable ops. My name is Charlie. Call sign is November Juliet 7 Victor. And tonight, this live stream is a special episode outside of the regular every other Sunday evening schedule. We're talking about couples in ham radio tonight. And we have with us a few guests. With me this evening is my wife, who is also our co-host, Sandy, W7NRS. And our guests tonight are Lisa, KJ7PJV, John, KJ7IGZ, Mary Catherine, KI4HHI, and Joe, KI4ASK. And of course, as always, we have the regular characters in the chat room, always there to keep us in line, throw out questions, throw fruit, tell jokes, and much more. So we're glad you're there. Of course, if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and try to respond to them. So we're happy you're here with us this evening, and hope you'll stick around for some fun and informative discussion, we hope. So with that, let's go ahead, and I'm going to turn it over to Sandy to introduce the ladies.
Hey, everyone. First of all, if there's an elephant in the room, I always think it's best just to introduce it right up front. And the fact that Charlie and I are on separate screens, we actually do live in the same house, and we actually are in the same house right now. But there were some technical difficulties with us being in the same room together. At least that's what Charlie said. Maybe he just doesn't want to share the screen with me, but whatever. So here it is. So I'm going to introduce myself really briefly. My name is Sandy, W7NRS, married to Charlie for almost 18 years. Really new to ham radio. I got my technician license in January and my general in March. So I haven't had much experience at all. I've been around radio quite a bit, so I was familiar with a lot of it before. It's not something that I thought I would be doing earlier, but things change and interests change and things like that. So I'm glad that I have this opportunity to spend time with Charlie doing SOTA. So I am a nurse by profession, and for the past 19 years, nurses have been voted like the most trusted profession. And when people find out I'm in the medical field, they usually, or at times anyway, they'll want to ask questions, and they'll say, I have this thing, and start talking about it. And my answer is always pretty much, you need to talk to your doctor about that, because that's the person that can ultimately diagnose it and help you with it. So I'm not that helpful that way. But if you've got a super secret that you are just dying to share with somebody, I'm your girl for that. So let's see, what else? I love everything outdoor, camping, hiking, all that stuff. But I also like DIY home projects and quilting. So a little of both. And what else? Charlie and I have 5 kids between us. They're all grown and gone. So we spend a lot of our time traveling around the country, visiting them and grandkids and stuff like that. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa, KJ7PJV, and let her introduce herself.
Well, hello out there. Pleasure to be on with all of you. Again, KJ7PJV. John and I have been married just about 6 years now. We have 4 kids between us, 2 adults and then 2 that are just now in college. I've been doing radio now with John a little over a year, had my technician's license about a year ago, and then ironically took the test for general with Sandy. As Sandy was, we were talking earlier, almost all my real practical knowledge has come from going out into the field. So I've really, really enjoyed that. Some great times out with John. Interests kind of, again, Mary, love to go hiking, love to see the beauties, hidden beauties of Arizona we wouldn't do otherwise unless we were doing SOTA. I work for a large school district in the Northwest Glendale area. And I work at the front desk. People think I'm crazy working with high schoolers, but I actually love it. Love helping people. Prior to that, I was just in just a for-profit company. Let's see, working for the school district now for about 8 years. And when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to keep up with this big guy and do a little reading and working out in the gym. That's about it.
Okay, turn it over to you, Mary Catherine. Mary Catherine is, let me get your call sign right, KI4HHI.
Hey everybody, I am KI4HHI, and I have been a ham radio operator since 2004. I have a technician's license. I haven't had the itching to go any farther than that. I'm very satisfied with that. I became a ham radio operator to hang out with my husband. So anyway, I just recently started a job. I am working for the Fayette County Parks and Rec Department. I'm a program coordinator there, and I'm really loving that. I love being outdoors. I love being active. I've been a personal trainer and fitness instructor for 20 years. So I like to move, whether it's indoors or outdoors. We used to trail run a lot. We still do some. And I think it's the trail running that led us to SOTA, to combine those two hobbies. And we just enjoy getting outside and hiking up mountains and enjoying the view. And I give Joe a time limit for our SOTA activations. And then we climb back down. So it's a good time. We enjoy it.
All right, Charlie, back to you.
Okay, well, good. That it was very nice to get to know the ladies in the room. Now let's go ahead and turn it over to the guys. John, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I got my ham license in 2019, I think it was, and started doing SOTA immediately for some of the same reasons that you guys have already said. And it's a more active sport, you know, it's getting out and hiking up mountains and stuff. I work as a police officer, and I've been doing that for about 25 years now. And I'm just really happy to have my wife doing SOTA with me, because it's really something we can do together. You know, it's really easy for lives to get going kind of separate, but it's something we have in common. So
yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, Joel, go ahead.
Okay, Charlie, thanks. And it's great to be on the broadcast tonight. I got licensed shortly after 9/11, the 9/11 tragedy. I'm an Army vet. And when I was in the Army, I didn't really care much about radios. They were kind of a means to an end. But, you know, with so much changing in the world at the time of the 9/11, I just saw the value of having some backup communications, and one thing led to another. And I got my license, and somebody smart told me, hey, when you get that license, just keep knocking them out. And so I'm one of those that, you know, 3 months in a row, you know, got all 3 upgrades. And it was right at the tail end of when CW was required, and I struggled with it, but I passed it and enjoyed it. Talked to Mary Catherine about getting licensed. Very early on, we used to have fun talking on Simplex together. We kind of had of course, in ham radio, nothing is a secret, right? But we kind of had a little secret Simplex frequency that we would talk, and she was driving the kids around in the minivan, and you know, I would talk to her, and really got into SOTA, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago. We were hiking near the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, and some of maybe the people out there watching this might know where Black Balsam Knob is. It's actually the highest point on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I just brought an HT with me and put it on National Simplex frequency, and just was amazed. It was full of traffic, and I just started making contacts. And somebody said, "Are you doing a SOTA activation?" And I kind of had to say, "What is SOTA?" And went back and Googled it up, and oh, this is cool. You mean there's a thing where you can, you know, do SOTA and hike and bring radios. And so I remember telling Mary Catherine about that, and so we started doing it together. And that's actually how we found your channel, and we just enjoy doing it. We enjoy being together, and even with her technician license, as most people know, you can normally make your activation just on FM simplex alone. It's that way here in Georgia. If you stand on a mountain and call, you're going to make 4 contacts. And we have 3 children. We did expose our kids to amateur radio. It really wasn't their thing, and that's okay. I know some families have a lot of hams with the kids. I am lucky that I got my soda. I'm married to my soda buddy.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Joe. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. I mean, everybody knows it's my channel, but let me just mention real quick. You might not know I got licensed in 2005, and the reason I got licensed was because I felt like I needed a way to communicate in case communication went down. And that time I did not know anything about ham radio, kind of learned a little bit about it and thought, oh, I better get my technician license. I went and did a field day and was hooked, got my license, but then I was a technician for probably 8-10 years until I finally decided, oh, I better get my general. And once I got my general, I was like you, Joe, I'm like, well, I might as well get my extra. So just went all the way through. But I'd say the first 8 to 10 years was just FM simplex, not even simplex. I just did repeater stuff and just it was kind of practicing what would happen if that communications went down. Then I started once I got general, I started doing communications with digital a little bit, and then finally I found this soda thing that nobody knows about, and I've been doing that for about 7 years. So that's me. Okay, so I know that there are a lot of other people out there besides the 6 of us who are couples and do soda. Some that come to mind for me is Gary and Martha, and there's a couple out in Georgia. I can't remember their name and call sign, but I've talked to them on Summits on the Air Peak. There's Bob and his wife, K0NR. There's a lot of people out there. So we're not anything, we're special, of course, but we're not anything unique, I guess. So, but with that, I think Sandy and I are just going to take turns every other question, just kind of seeing if we can work through some of this topic. So I'm going to ask the first question, and I guess we'll start with Lisa and John, and we'll let you answer first, whoever wants to go, or both of you, or whatever, and then we'll move to John and Mary Catherine, and then Joe and Mary Catherine, and then me and Sandy will answer it, and then Sandy will take the next question. So how has the hobby of ham radio influenced your marriage? So what do you think, John and Lisa?
I think it's absolutely been positive. First, we enjoy being outdoors. You meet other people as well for strengthening, and it gets you away from the trivial stuff of the day and really helps you to focus on the priorities in life and be around the beauty that you see. So for me, it's been completely positive.
Yeah, and it gives us a way to kind of support each other too. Like, there's times where I'll be doing CW, struggling with the meat bees up on Greens Peak, and she's swatting them away with the notebook. Or I can scribe for her if there's a big pile up or going on SSB or something. So it's really beneficial for both of us. We get to support each other in the hobby.
Yeah, and even though John's far more skilled than I am, we've learned together. It's been great.
So so you guys are relatively new as far as being a couple in ham radio. On the other hand, Joe and Mary Catherine have been in a while. Sandy and I are kind of in the middle somewhere, I think. But was there a before for you guys, as far as with one of you or the other being in ham radio, and what was it like then in your marriage?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I started about a year before her. And it was more of an individual hobby. It wasn't something we would do together. It wasn't until we went up on a mountain together with the radio. And we both love hiking already. I love the radio stuff. But she loves talking. So it was a perfect match.
True.
And once she got onto it, it took on like wildfire. Matter of fact, she wants to do peaks all the time now.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, cool. All right, what do you think, Joe and Mary Catherine?
Yeah, I think there is you said something about, sharing pictures, and I think there's a couple pictures that, just kind of summarize how this relationship works. So, can I just share screen, Charlie?
Yeah,
share
go for it.
button?
Should work.
Okay, so can everybody see that? So this picture really kind of this is us. This was actually last month. We were activating High Point, which is the highest point on Lookout Mountain, Georgia, and I'm working FM Simplex, and Mary Catherine's goofing off there, and I did not know she took this picture. So when we do ham radio, we have fun with it. Both of us, I think the fitness part of it, which I think is an important part. We both struggled with our weight, and that's a whole nother topic, and got into fitness, after she started having children, and the hiking kind of became part of that. And I got really big into doing triathlons and Ironman and all that other stuff. And Mary Catherine got into marathoning, and you only can take that so far. Then we started the hiking part, and then the radio part was just kind of icing on the cake. But we didn't know anything about SOTA or what became POTA. Of course, that came from National Parks on the Air, and kind of discovered it quite by accident, as I shared earlier. And we just have fun with it, but it has limits. I think Mary Catherine. We both enjoy the hiking part of it. We both enjoy making the contacts. I've learned to be very efficient on top of the mountain. I got to have equipment that's ready to go, and I got to be able to put up an antenna quick, because, she's not kidding. You got an hour.
That wasn't a joke.
and we need to be heading off this mountain in an hour. And, she's actually right. And I think many couples might struggle with that balance where I think typically the guy might sit in the shack and, watch the waterfall or play FT8 or do something all day long. And, it's fun to be able to share the hobby. But when you share the hobby, there has to be trade-offs. One of the things that happened, we went out to Utah a couple weeks ago. Our middle daughter moved out there. And of course, everywhere I saw these 10-point SOTA peaks, and I instantly wanted to go to the top, but realism set in, and okay, that's an all-day thing. And maybe the rest of the family doesn't want to do that, Joe. So instead of doing the 10-pointer, we're going to do the 4-pointer, and you get a couple hours doing it. And we did that, and she's been a good sport with it, and a big help. And it's funny, as you can tell, I like to talk. When she likes to talk, she'll talk for a long time. But when she doesn't want to talk, there's many activations where she's logging and goofing off, and I don't want to talk. There are other times, and I think we know this, we get her on the air. We do something called Skywarn Recognition Day. We're into Skywarn, and for those of you that don't know it, the first weekend of December, Skywarn sets up at all the NWS stations, and you make contacts. She regularly works that and gets quite a pile up. Of course, everybody wants to talk to the YL, and I'm happy with that too. And I've got the logging, but I think, where we're at with the hobby is it's like anything in marriage. It's a trade-off, and we're on the slow road. I think we've probably been licensed longer than all of you on the call. And yet we've probably done fewer activations than you guys. I joked with Charlie before the video cast started up. We're probably going to take 20 years for us to make, mountain goat status, and that's okay. We're having fun.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else to add, Mary Catherine?
No, I think he explained that pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. There's no rebuttal there, huh?
No, that was a fair assessment of how things go for us.
Sandy and I are on separate screens because we are very independent, and I'm sure once I'm done talking about what I have to say, she will have a rebuttal. So,
Okay.
so maybe not though. I'm just joking. We're really close and love each other. So for us, I think I was pushing the envelope always for years on how much I could get away with for ham radio. Sometimes I went too far, and sometimes I felt like I was restrained too much. But I think overall, we tried to find a balance, like everybody else said. She can probably talk about how she felt when I was always going out and doing things, and she was stuck home mowing the lawn or whatever she was doing. But I went out a lot, and especially when I was really pursuing the mountain goat and stuff like that. I was out probably at least every other weekend, if not more. And so I tried to make up the time and keep things going around the house on the off weekends, but I probably didn't do very well. But I enjoy being out by myself doing ham radio, but I really enjoy the company, having Sandy with me now, and I think that our marriage is kind of improved as we've started to share the hobby together a little bit. But I think we had it figured out beforehand too. You know, I would just say that there's people out there who probably will never have their spouse get their license, but sometimes they go up on the mountain, like you said. I had a time limit when Sandy would come with me about 50% of the time, I think, or every so often. And you know, we did Humphrey's Peak, for example, and she can tell you what happened up there. But it was an hour limit, and I just kind of learned to deal with it, you know, just like you said. But that's kind of why I like to do it on my own a lot, because I enjoyed spending a little bit more time sometimes up there. But I don't know. What do you think about all this, Sandy?
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, there are times when you really push the envelope. Yeah, with like going on family vacations and wanting to spend your time doing soda. Yeah, yeah, that didn't go over too well with me. But I think we kind of had it figured out with a balance. But it is nice to have something we can do we hike and backpack together and do stuff like that. But this is kind of fun to do this. And like I said, I didn't think I would be doing this a couple years ago. I didn't even picture myself doing this. I don't know. I can't really tell you what changed other than I thought I'd give it a try. And the first time I heard a station from France doing soda, I was kind of hooked. So that's kind of what it was for me, you know, just thinking it was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, cool. All right. Do you want to ask the next question?
Yeah. I'm going to ask a question of my own, though. Ladies, what do you think the barriers are, if any, in participating in a hobby that's mostly male dominated? Lisa, what do you think?
Well, first off, I will just preface this. So far, my experience has been quite positive in our local community. Our local community, I truly feel, has been nothing but supportive to us and to me. If I've had questions, they're very down to earth, very willing to share. So I personally haven't felt that, because I too didn't envision myself maybe just knowledge-based, technical knowledge base for me. That's definitely something I have to do. Some of the physicality, and putting up some of the antennas as well. John's the heavy lifter for sure, you know. But as far as barriers, I don't see them. I don't see them here.
You feel like not from maybe other people, but from yourself, maybe, because I kind of felt intimidated a little bit because I'm not a technical person. I don't have a lot of knowledge about that. So the barriers were kind of my own that I put up, not necessarily from other people. So.
Exactly. And the more, like you said, the more you get in the field, it's a baptism of fire, the single best way to learn. Yeah. And now I'm getting to the point where, okay, let's set up the antenna, and what do we have to do? You know, we have to change bands really fast, and I can do all that.
Yeah. What about you, Mary Catherine?
Yeah, I've had a very similar experience with our local ham radio club. Everybody's very accepting, and I feel like, you know, if I didn't have Joe, I would still have a community of hams that would be very supportive of me. I really appreciate the groups that we have and that we're associated with, several actually in the area. And I definitely have felt the same way. I mean, you heard me say I don't really have any interest in getting a general. Maybe that'll change at some point. I'm definitely not super technical. I am more of a talker. I like ham radio because you get to communicate with people you otherwise wouldn't communicate with, and you get to learn. You get to learn things about other cultures, like you said. I mean, when you heard you had the French soda that that got you hooked. I mean, when you hear other folks, from other countries, and you get to learn a little bit about other people's culture and that kind of thing. So it's been a great experience for me. But yeah, I'm like Lisa said, it's not something I would have come to on my own ever. It was definitely something I did because Joe loved it so much. I thought, well, I'll get my license so we can hang out and I'll know a little bit of what he's talking about. We learned early on in our marriage that it's better when we can find things to do together than it is for us both to go off in our different directions. So we've both made compromise in that area for sure to try and find things to do that we both enjoy and enjoy together. So yeah, I think Joe wants to share a picture of me soldering an antenna.
I can see it. I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
cool.
was I think the Atlanta.
Yeah, that was the
Right.
Atlanta Radio Club. Yeah.
We so one of the things we really like to do, it's one of my favorite activities. I do love soda, but I also love fox hunting. If you guys know what fox hunting is. And we were building an antenna there out of measuring tape and PVC. And that was sponsored by that club. They provided us with all the materials. All we had to do was give them some money, and they showed us how to do it. So I got to use the solder gun, and that's our antenna, it's a great antenna, by the way.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm a less is more kind of girl, and I think that's part of why I like soda as well. I don't really understand. And my apologies to everybody who loves to have fancy equipment and shacks full of different radios. I don't really understand that, but I love having a simple antenna and an easy to carry radio. So.
Cool. All right, let me go to the chat room here and get caught up there. While I'm looking, is there anybody else that has anything to add on that comment before I ask the next question? So I know that there was somebody that said, "Hey, hello, Mary Catherine," and did you?
Hey.
Who was that? Gosh, I'm scrolling up and I can't see it. Anyway, somebody from your neck of the woods, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, I see somebody that says my wife isn't at all technical. Well, I'm not technical at all myself either. So that, while that may kind of sound intimidating to get your license, I mean, I don't think you have to be technical in order to get it. You got to pass the test. But
yeah, let's speak about that just for a minute, because it's a good question, and there was a question in the chat room that's related to this, Sandy, and that is, do anybody here have any anxiety for testing? But let's just talk about, how much did you all have anxiety, and then if you did or didn't, regardless, how much knowledge you think you got, and what was your approach to the test? I mean, did you learn a bunch of stuff, or just memorize, or what?
Well, I'll go first because I did it really quickly. So I found out that there was an upcoming test, and I also knew that there was a manual with all the right answers and a limited question pool. So I just studied that manual. I found the right answers, and just memorized it basically. And there were online tests that I just took over and over again until I kept getting good grades, an A and 90% or 95%. And when I got consistent, I knew I was ready to take the next test, and I went and took it. I did it in a matter of like 3 days.
I was the nervous one, y'all, because I'm a VE, and I think that's one of the true pleasures of ham radio is helping others get licensed, and I'm part of our VE team. And of course, if you have a family member testing, you're disqualified from being a VE, and you can't test your spouse. And so that night, she said, "I'm going to test," and I had to tell our coordinator, "Hey, Mary Catherine's going to test. You got to find a backup for me," because of course you got to have three VEs. And I sat in the waiting room of the test. It was almost like when we had children, waiting for the birth. And I was nervous because I knew she wasn't technical. And I have to brag, that night, she had the highest score on the test. And I think you only missed one.
Yeah, but please don't test me right now.
And, so I was the nervous one. She wasn't.
Well, when I decided I was going to test, it was fairly quick too. I found those online tests, and I kind of treated it like a game. So I would, after work or in my spare time, I would just run through the questions over and over and over again until I was getting, like you said, 90, 95%. And I felt confident in passing the test. But as I said before, I could tell you what the answers were, but most of my learning has been actually in the field, trying it out. So.
Yep. And I was the same. Real quick on technicians, did I think a week long cram session for general, but felt confident going in, and I couldn't repeat the answers after Sandy, but definitely on the job training has been the most effective training, of course.
Cool.
I felt like when I started the test that I had to know everything in its completion. Like I should be able to regurgitate the formulas and be able to do this on the fly. And that was kind of holding me back until I realized just learn the correct answers and go from there. So I'd use like hamstudy.org and
That app was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So another question in the chat on this related to the same topic, but first, Justin Byerly poked his head up, and he's the one that said said earlier. It's KN4HYN and KN4HYM.
Justin and Julie, yeah, they're another married ham couple.
Yeah, cool.
Hey guys,
So if they
love ya.
So if they're around a little bit later, maybe we'll bring them in and they can join the conversation. We're already halfway, but let's go ahead and go to the next question that's in this chat, which is how did the spouses help with the testing, and or did they? And you kind of mentioned that already, Joe and Mary Catherine. For us, I think all I did was just kind of offer some general guidance and just encouraged her to do it, and I knew she could, and just kind of that's pretty much as it was really, and maybe guided her to the right location to actually take the test. That was about it. Do you think, Sandy, or more?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of times I asked a question where I was trying to understand something that I didn't understand, and he was able to help me understand it a little bit better so I could remember it. You know what I mean? So yeah, like that. Yep.
Okay, how about you? Did you help much, John?
the biggest thing I did was get her signed up for the test. That was the biggest hurdle.
There you go.
Once you sign them up for the test, they don't want to fail. They don't, so they're going to study.
Yeah. Okay, I guess, do you want to ask another question, Sandy, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I would say the question is, what would you say, and maybe this is more for the guys, maybe not, but what would you say if you have a spouse or a significant other that is not supportive of the hobby? What would you say to them? And do you think that you should pressure the person that you're with to take on a hobby that's yours?
I'll start with that. I don't think you'll ever get anywhere with trying to pressure somebody into your hobby. But if you can involve something in the hobby that they have an interest in, for example, the hiking, just go on hikes. And that was how it happened with us. We went up on a mountain that we would hike normally and just pulled out the radio and made contacts. And then she started to get interested, like, who's that? Where are they at? And this and that. And next thing you know, it kind of takes on. So.
Yeah, I just what John said. And I don't think it's unique to ham radio. Let's be honest. Most of us have been married quite a while. The slowest path to success is to push too hard, and I think marriage is all about compromise. And as we've already kind of talked about, I think we both do things that maybe we don't like doing, but we want to make the other person happy. And then by making the other person happy, you actually get a little bit of joy back yourself, and it's not really as bad as you thought. But I don't think it's unique to ham radio. It can be fishing, it could be hunting, it can be bowling, you know, it can be any hobby. And I think, you know, that happened to us with running. I got into running first, and I didn't pressure her to become a runner, and she kind of discovered it on her own. Of course, I'm like, yay. And so, you know, for those of you out there watching that you're married to a non-ham or you're dating a non-ham, you know, go hiking together and, you know, just see where that leads. And, you know, as you guys found out, and you know, as we did, we got into it, and we were mostly doing simplex before there ever was a SOTA, you know, program, and we enjoyed that. And it really wasn't the technology part of it. Now, I like that part of it. I have a math degree, so I actually did know how to do the math on the extra test. You know, most people, you know, complex numbers, and I'm like, yes. You know, other people, Mary Catherine, it's like, where's the on button? You know, how do you change the channel? And yeah, that's okay. You know, the ham radio license, we were talking about this before the thing started. There is no one path to it's the journey and not the destination. And so I think as married people, as people in relationships, having fun along the journey, whatever it is, drinking coffee. We're sitting on our front porch right now. I mean, we wanted to be outdoors even for this podcast because we enjoy, you know, the outdoors. We're sitting on a porch swing. Whatever you can enjoy together. I mean, that's the joy. The fact that it's ham radio is nice, but you know, and it's a trade-off. I could be like Charlie and go climb the 10-pointer by myself, but I have to admit, I would have more fun going on the 4-pointer and have Mary Catherine along than for me to do the 10-pointer all by myself.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have anybody take pictures of you.
I wouldn't have anybody take the pictures and do the logging either.
That's right. Very good. You know, the way I'd answer that question is pretty much the same as you guys. It's really, you know, definitely you don't pressure your spouse, but the path is different for everybody. And I would say that in the hobby, I think you'd be surprised at how many couples, even though the other spouse doesn't participate in ham radio, they go along for the journey and enjoy the hiking part or whatever. At least, you know, come home and you talk about what you did. Even when Sandy wasn't going on hikes with me, she'd ask me how it went, and I'd kind of describe it to her and stuff. And she showed interest, and I think that's how it would be. There's another question in the chat, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'll take it back to Sandy to wrap it up, I guess.
Oh, as far as my own question that I asked, I would say, yeah, definitely don't pressure. That never work. I don't know of anyone that really works on pressuring. Charlie he would jokingly tell me that I couldn't do it. So I don't know if he was trying to use, you know, psychology on me. I don't know that was it.
Maybe, right?
I don't know that was it either. I think I just decided that this was something that I could do. So I did.
I knew she could do it, but yeah, I was teasing her. Okay, so the next question is, do the YLs pick out any of their own ham gear that they use? And that's another question that we had that we were going to ask, and that is, do you prefer to share? Do you want your own gear? What do you guys think?
It depends on, for someone's on the air, it just depends on where we're hiking and where we're going. Sometimes we will share. Sometimes we'll want our own if we're going to split up or do something a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Usually we share.
Okay. Yeah, we share all the time, don't we, Sandy? For the most part.
Yeah, it's kind of, if you've got a kind of a rhythm going, you can pass back and forth and
exactly,
you know, get the same contacts. It goes pretty fast.
It does.
So.
Yeah, we're sharers too, and you know, let's be honest, ham radio gear is not cheap. And, you know, MC has her favorite HTs. Mm-hmm. She likes the equipment that sets up the quickest. And, you know, we really love the, you know, when that IC705 came out, I mean, that's our go-to portable radio. It really does a lot. And, you know, I think she likes the fact that I enjoy all those features so much, but she also likes the fact that I might buy an end-fed half-wave antenna, which basically is just a fancy wire, right? We can throw in the trees and set up quick. You know, if I have an hour, you know, I better have that antenna up in 5 minutes or less. I don't have, you know, an hour to put the antenna up. And so I think the equipment then And when we set up radios individually, I'll do all the programming, no surprise out there, and I'll put her call sign in it, right? So when it boots up, it has her call sign, and she likes that. Back when she was when the kids were home and driving the minivan, I bought her what I thought would be a quote unquote cute radio for the van, a small little radio. Of course, it tended to overheat. It was a Yaesu FT50, but it was cute. But when she pushed it on, it said Mary Catherine and had her call sign on it. And but we share. We share equipment.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, and that brings us kind of the other part of that question, or something that was kind of mentioned anyway, and that's the. I think actually Lisa mentioned it, that you have a routine or a way that you do things. Just like with anything else, when you're a couple, you kind of figure it out and you learn how to work together. Sandy and I don't know whether it's me pushing this idea or whether we just kind of fell into it or what, but she does sideband, I do CW. We start on one band and she does sideband, and then I do CW on that same band, and then we switch to the next band, and then by then she's done, usually, and doesn't want to do any more, and so I usually do want to do more, but I don't anyway. So, but because I don't want to ruin a good thing, you know. So that's kind of our routine.
Yeah, I think it's exactly the same what you just described as our routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When we get to a spot, usually I'll start finding a place for the mast and get that going up for like a dipole while she's setting up the KX2. And then we use that mostly for both of us for all the HF stuff. And then we do carry our own HTs though, just in case we get separated somehow. At least we have some way to communicate with no cell phone.
Yeah, I'm normally the gear carrier, although we did, and I think Charlie put it in the notes, one of our recent SOTA activations, I actually put together a short YouTube. I'm not a fancy YouTuber. We shot on an iPhone, but it is a very realistic Joe holding the camera phone of our activation of Iron Mountain, Utah. And it really kind of shows you our routine. I mean, in that video, and Charlie's put it in the notes, and I've got a link to it on my QRZ page.
Yeah, it's up in the top here, up in the chat room.
Okay, it's up at the top, and take a look at it. I'd be interested in some feedback because we had fun doing that, and we might shoot some more videos. But anyway, I carry most of the gear. She carries the support gear, and we get there, and of course I try to get the antenna set up, and then we try to go ahead, if it's a SOTA, knock it out with FM simplex. We both love that, and sometimes she does it, sometimes I do it, sometimes we both do it, and then just based on licensure, I'm normally handling the HF. I'm mostly doing voice. My CW is very weak. I need to improve it. In fact, I've told Mary Catherine, I think because she has a music background, she would probably do better at CW than I would. But that's normally our routine. And we don't try to make a day of it. We do try to get up there, make the contacts, and get down. And we share those responsibilities. She knows how to put the equipment up, and that's kind of our routine.
I know how to throw the antenna out there.
And she knows how to throw the antenna out there.
Cool. Let's see. Did everybody answer except us, Sandy? No, everybody did. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Can I just add something to the last one?
Yeah.
You guys do the same thing we do with SSB and CW. It's really fun comparing, who our chasers were at the end of the day too. Like there's certain ones you get all the time, a WW7D or something. Hey, I had him too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So the next question I have is, and we're almost, we only got 15 minutes left, so we're kind of curving around in the corner. I did invite somebody else to come into the chat if they get the message in time, but in the chat, not in the chat, in the live stream. But so are your interests and goals in the hobby aligned or unique? Let's go with Joe and Mary Catherine.
That's an excellent question. And I would say the parts that are aligned is we love doing what we're doing right here, Charlie and Sandy on your YouTube channel, and that is sharing the hobby with other people. I mean, we both enjoy sharing it with other people. We're less interested in getting deep into the hobby and more interested in giving everybody else a taste of the hobby. And so we do make it a point I think I mentioned earlier, we're going to be speaking at the Huntsville Ham Fest. It's one of the bigger ham fests in the southeastern U.S., talking about portable operations. We go to the Atlanta Science Festival and talk to kids about radio and science and technology. We speak to ham clubs. We love doing that part of it. We also enjoy public service together. We're both in Aries. We both, support triathlons and races and stuff like that. We both enjoy the soda part of it. Now, I probably do a little bit more beyond that just because she might go turn on Netflix and watch a Netflix show, and I might go fire up the 7300 and, work the gray line propagation sort of thing. So that's kind of where we diverge. And she's like, what is that? So I say, wouldn't you say for the most part, though, I mean, we have similar
Most part.
goals. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Sandy?
I think a lot of our goals are the same, but yeah, there are some differences there for sure. So you like to experiment, you like to try new things. I kind of like to know what I'm doing and then, work with that, slowly working into the things. You're just like, oh, let's just throw this together and try it. And I'm not that kind of person. So
Yeah,
Anyway.
definitely. I think that our goals, we have similar goals, but we also have different goals and interests too. For example, you want to become a mountain goat, right?
I do. Yeah.
And so your
My
guess-
focus is on points right now.
yes, your focus is on points. I was there a long time ago, and that's all. That's when I was gone all the time, by the way.
Yeah, I remember.
But now it's not so much. I just have fun. But all right, Lisa and John.
I definitely think our goals are aligned as well. Sometimes just what you described with, I'm like ready to chill for a little bit. And then where is John? He's in the ham room. Yeah, doing his thing. So, but we're definitely aligned. And it's funny. As to what we appreciate, I think the most, Joe, I have a sign, I'm looking at it right now, that we did from a beautiful, I got this piece of wood in a beautiful place out here in Arizona called Sheep's Bridge along the Verde River. It's gorgeous there. And I did some little painting on it, and it says, "You are my greatest adventure." And I think that truly is it. He is my greatest adventure, and we share these adventures together. And that's the beauty. And yes, Miss Sandy, I want my goat too. But it is about the journey, Joe. It is about the journey, because you don't have the journey, you don't have each other, right? That's what it's all about. So.
And we want to get our goat together too at the same time, if possible.
Yeah. What was that? What was this? What was the thing on that?
Oh yeah, I was telling you earlier. So the plan is we're going to go up, we're going to get our contacts at the same time, and then we're going to renew our vows up on the mountain. And we're going to invite all of the soda people that want to come, and have like a big party, because I think there'll be great reception.
But truly, I think he's really serious about about the reading.
Okay.
It's really cool.
All right.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to that.
You know what? That reminds me, and this is the next question for you guys. And then Sandy can ask one, and then we'll probably be about done. But my first ever Summits on the Air activation was Mount Pelee. I hiked it with a friend of mine, and I got up there, and when we got up there was a couple on top, and this was a really remote area, and there was a couple up there, and we're like, "Why are you guys up there?" And he was proposing to her up on top of that mountain.
Aww.
So that was pretty cool.
Very sweet.
We've seen a couple of those actually. That's not too uncommon. It wasn't a soda activation, but we were at Sweetwater Creek State Park trail running, and we knew something was up. We saw a guy going up with some champagne, and we saw a photographer going up, and sure enough, we got up there. And
when we got up there was and this was a really remote area, and there was a couple up there. We're like, "Why are you guys up there?" And he was proposing to her up on top of that mountain.
Wow,
That's very sweet.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, cool. Sorry about that. Lee just hopped in. I had to mute him because he's trying to figure stuff out here. Lee and Lynn, they're another couple.
I was just going to say something really quickly for those of you watching, and maybe your spouse, you don't think they'll ever be interested, or maybe you're a woman and you want to get into the hobby and maybe your husband doesn't. I would say just find another. I mean, you join a a ham club, find another group of people that want to do it, and don't let that hold you back from trying it. So
Cool. Yeah. All right. So I think that was my question. It's up to you. You're up next, I think, Sandy, right?
I was just going to ask, what's the most memorable experience you've had doing soda?
That's a good one.
I have to. I don't know. Do you think the most recent one was one of our most memorable?
That or the one we did in Colorado.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's two of them. One is you can watch the YouTube video that Charlie posted, and that was fun because we underestimated the distance and we barely got off before sundown, and it was an adventure, and it's in the video. The other one was what was it? 3 years ago, we went to Quandary Peak outside Breckenridge, Colorado. And I brought an HT up there, and there were real mountain goats up there. We don't have that stuff in the Appalachian Mountains, right? So, there were mountain goats, and it was a 14,000 footer. And that was just a beautiful hike, and you could see all around. And, I think that might be our farthest simplex contact. It was like 150 miles. That was very memorable. You said that? Yeah. Quandary Peak.
Cool. All right. I see Lee and Lynn in there. You guys, we'll come to you in just a second, Lee and Lynn.
Yeah, I would think our most memorable would be one we activated a mountain that hadn't been activated before. And we found out why. It was really tough to get to the top. We spent all day climbing under boulders. And the top was kind of hidden where you could only get to it through one area. And that was very memorable because we made it into a camping trip too. So we did several in that area, and it was a really fun trip. It was only like a 2-pointer or 4-pointer or something. So
we earned every one of those points. It was four attempts to reach that summit. At that point, I told Jen, I'm not going down the hill until we activate. But I had scratches, I had root, but anyway, we did it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Sandy, what do you think?
I had one similar on Turk's Head. Charlie and I are the only ones that have activated. I don't know if that's still the case, but the other memorable one was Greens Peak in Tucson. It was very, very steep. And I don't know why I find this so funny.
Green Mountain.
Oh, Green Mountain. Okay. Green Mountain in Tucson, very steep. And the steep part was only supposed to be 1/4 of a mile. And so we had gone quite a ways, and finally I said to Charlie, I said, how much farther do we have left? And he's like, oh, it's only 3/4 of a mile left. What he really meant to say was something else. But anyway, so now when anything is different than I think it's going to be, I always say we have 3/4 of a mile left, right?
Yeah. And I always chuckle at that. Cool. All right, guys, let's we've got 7 minutes left, 6 minutes, but we have Lee and Lynn. I don't know if you guys know Lee and Lynn, but they are Arizona people as well, W7A Association, and they both have their mountain goat and have activated together for quite a while. So if you unmute Lee and Lynn, introduce yourself and say hi.
Hi, I'm Lee, N7LP.
And I'm the other half, Lynn, KB7CWV.
Cool. I'm so glad you guys were able to join us.
We just got back. We just got back from a 2-week road trip to Fort Wayne, Indiana to see the kids.
Okay,
so.
Cool. Very good. Well, what do you think about all this, what we've been talking about? Did you have any thoughts about what we've been saying so far?
So far, I think it's great. When Lynn was going up with me in the original, she was not actually activating. She loves to explore, so it's kind of funny. She'd go, or she came up on every hill I went up on, but she never activated. And then I kind of pushed her into doing it.
He made me. New Year's 2015 on Humboldt. Oh, come on, take the HT and do it. I've been a operator for over 30 years, been very heavily involved in, we've done everything together from ARCA to Explorer Post 599 to weather spotting to you name it, we've done it together. And it didn't take too long before I decided after he gets his goat, I'm going to go get mine.
So then she decided that she was going to upgrade because, here in Arizona, it's hard to make 2-meter contacts and on a lot of the hills. So that was one of her reasons for getting her general.
And Mr. Pushy here bought Ham Test Online for me. And if you want to upgrade, I highly recommend that particular venue because if you're not super techy, you can get it and you can study at your own pace and whatnot. So I highly recommend that if you want to upgrade.
Yep. And I can tell you one story about one of the hills.
Oh,
and that was, we took Lynn up to, Lynn and I decided to go do Antelope Peak over near Heber. No, not Heber. It's in the White Mountains. We decided to go up that, and we actually took our brand new truck that road up there. And
no, never again.
Anyhow, she wound up really grabbing a hold of that seat. She thought for sure we were going to go over the side. So
very steep cinder cone. The road was really only meant for some ATV activity. We took the truck up it anyway, and right up at the top, I had to get out and go take a walk. I said, I need out of this thing now.
Cool. All right, Lee and Lynn. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to wrap it up here. But what we're going to do is we're going to throw the Zoom meeting information in the stream live chat once we are near the end. And so if there's anybody else that wants to join us after the live stream is over, they can. And by the way, if you, Joe and Mary Catherine and Lisa and John, and Lee and Lynn, if you can't stick around, that's fine. But we're going to invite some people to come on in and chat with us if they want to after the live stream is over. So let's just go around real quick. And if there's anything else that you want to add, we've got 3 minutes, so we'll just wrap it up here. And then we're right up against Ham Radio Crash Course, Josh's live stream here coming up in 2 minutes, so 2 or 3 minutes. So, but we probably want to be done by then. But go ahead and just, if there's any parting comments or anything like that, and then we'll catch the rest of you guys in the Zoom meeting after the live stream. So why don't we just go over to Joe and Mary Catherine, and you can start us off.
Just have fun. There's no one right way to do this hobby. It's the journey and not the destination. Have fun with the hobby with your spouse.
I would resonate that as well. There's no special way you have to do everything, but it is much more fun with your spouse.
For sure. I agree with that. And then Lee and Lynn?
Yeah, Lynn and I have always loved going out in the wilderness and enjoying hiking and everything else, just like you. And
want to get back into backpacking too with radios.
Make it fun. Don't make it too much of a competition. If you do, it's just going to be it's going to turn out to be a chore rather than fun.
Yeah, fun. I agree. Fun.
Cool. All right. And then Sandy, you can have the second to last word, and then I'll wrap it up for us.
I would just, agree with everybody. In the hiking community, there's a phrase, hike your own hike. And I would say in the radio community, do it your own way. Whatever works for you. There's no one way to do it. And don't be afraid of messing up, because there's a lot of people out there that are, supportive and willing to help you. And, like you said, just make it fun.
Yeah, very good. So I want to say thank you so much to all of you who have joined us. Joe and Mary Catherine, we're going to probably try to look you up when we get back out there to Georgia. Thank you so much. Do. And you have a website. You've appeared on a lot of different things. So all you got to do is Google you, and you guys will show up somewhere, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of resources on my QRZ page, some presentations we've done. You posted the YouTube, video, and we're pretty active on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, flirting with the idea of YouTube. But man, I know a lot of work goes into this, Charlie. So yeah. we're you can find us on the internet.
Okay. And Lee and Lynn, thank you so much for your participation. We may have to get you on again at some other point. And Lisa and John, thank you so much as well.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, let's just a big wave and say goodbye and have fun and adios.
Bye, 73.
Yeah, 73.